Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of the Engage Your Fanbase podcast. My name is Kara Karma and I am a publicist at Simon Says Booking and Publicity, and I am a writer at engageyourfanbase.com. And today I have two guests, which I'm very excited to talk to about live streaming. And we've got Sarah, is it Bork? Or how do I pronounce it? What's that?
Burke.
What's that?
Burke.
Burke. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like having it in my ear and out of my ear. And Bali Warner, right?
Yep.
Great. Of showtheshow.com. And it's a live streaming service. And I'd love you guys to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about what you do.
You want to go ahead, Sarah?
I'll go first. I'm Sarah Burke. I'm managing editor for showtheshow.com, and I'm also a writer for the Fanbase and statement as well. Your turn.
All right, Bali Warner, one of the co-founders of showtheshow.com. Basically, we're a platform for indexing, live streaming music that's happening any given day, and have an editorial side that Sarah will talk about here in a bit, and we also help bands get independently live streaming.
So I wanted to start by talking about live streaming in general and what this scene looks like today and what you guys are seeing out there. Bali, did you want to speak to that?
Sure. Basically, we're seeing the volume of live streams increasing basically on a month-by-month basis. This year especially, we've seen a pretty solid number of streams coming out where basically every single day there's good music even within specific genres. We're curated, so we kind of stick to the jam, jazz, alt country, bluegrass, some indie. So we're kind of curated, and still we're able to go ahead and curate and still end up with pretty much a full schedule so that you can see live streaming music every day. So I'd say it's a growing market, and this is probably the biggest year for it to date.
I would imagine so. It certainly seems like it's everywhere. What do you see as opportunities in the technology for bands? Why should the bands get into live streaming?
Well, much like with the Grateful Dead started out, and we saw a parlay over to Fish with the tape trading. It's an easy way to go ahead and get your music out there, so that even if you're isolated and maybe a band that's in New England, you can still get your music out there and get it all the way across the country or around the world very quickly, and kind of expand your market base. And it's a very powerful branding tool at this point in time.
Do you see that panning out for any specific bands? I mean, like, especially DIY, bands that are just starting out. How do you see this really making an impact?
Sure. A good example of a band we work with is Formula 5 from upstate New York. They're relatively isolated to the New England region at this point in time, starting to expand outwards. And we've been working with them pretty extensively since the middle of last year. And we've seen generally their crowds go ahead, and we kind of started out initially streaming them, seeing crowds of about 100. They've worked their way up to, 200, 250 on average, all the way up to maybe 400 some nights. And that's just on an audio stream. So we're seeing people from all over the country, and Canada also, a lot of viewers coming in from Canada that are partaking. So I think it's a very powerful tool for bands that are yet to go ahead and break out of their local regions.
So tell us about showtheshow.com. We had an interesting conversation yesterday about it, but and you mentioned the audio stream, and I automatically think video streaming. I'm very interested in Periscope and now Facebook Live. I want to see where that goes, and but I know that you guys have a lot of audio streaming on showtheshow.com as well. But anyway, tell us about the website and what you have to offer there.
Sure. From the live streaming side, like I mentioned previously, we do have the curated index of live streams that are happening on a daily basis. And then we do go ahead and sponsor live streams also, go out and work with venues and bands to go ahead and bring streams, bands that we're excited about, bands that we want to go ahead and share with our audience. So we've been doing that to some extent here, trying to get a few shows in a month that we go ahead and sponsor and stream. And then also trying to get bands independent, trying to give them the technical support, the advice that they need to go ahead and find, okay, what hardware do we need? What do we need from our backline crew? How much backline crew? What is it going to budget out to be to go ahead and facilitate a stream? And it's very scalable. So there's basically a streaming solution to meet any budget, all the way from a simple audio stream with a patch from the soundboard, all the way up to something like what we see from tour gigs and nugs.tv. We're seeing full productions with multiple cameras in high definition.
Cool. So I wanted to get back to Bala, you had started talking about how showtheshow.com helps bands figure out their streaming, which is really awesome, because I think a lot of bands aren't getting into it because there's such a learning curve, or maybe there's just a perceived learning curve. I'm not sure, because I don't, well, I mean, I stream on my phone, Periscope or something like that, but I don't do anything of this kind. So, oh, I know why I'm echoing. You there?
Yeah.
Yep, loud and clear.
Can you hear me? I was echoing. I had it on the website and here. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to talk more about the technical aspects of what bands should be thinking about in terms of like yesterday we talked a little bit about platforms and how they should be thinking about the first steps and the different steps towards building their streaming capabilities.
Sure.
I guess.
In its simplest form, a good example would be Holly Bowling. What she's doing is they're simply using a phone and using the Mixler.com application. And through that application, it's using the microphone on the telephone and actually picking up the ambient sound in the room, which is fairly suitable for the rooms that she plays, in that she's solo acoustic on piano. And the rooms are generally a little bit quieter at her shows as opposed to what you might see at a club show. So for a solo acoustic musician, you could actually get away with simply a cell phone and get okay passable quality. From a band standpoint, you would want to go ahead and work with the soundboard patch. And Mixler is a very good, simple setup. You certainly need to have someone in your crew to go ahead and commit to it that can go ahead and monitor the stream, make sure that the stream is staying up for the whole show, monitor the chat, and kind of act as a liaison to the band, sort of, and interact with the fans to an extent. Keep track what they say. If they're saying that the audio is clipping, go ahead and bring it down a little bit. So that would be the most basic. The next step after that is using something like Concert Window, where you can get into actually using the video camera that's on the computer. So for something like a house gig, solo acoustic musicians, it's relatively decent platform. But if you start looking at doing video on the larger scale where you want to do a single cam, you need to look at video upscaling, and the technical end of it. It's a little more advanced. But at its most basic, it is pretty simple to achieve. But if you have one person in your crew and one person that's at home that can tune in and give you a report on it, you can get pretty decent broadcast out of things without much effort.
Are there some resources somewhere? Do you guys have resources online where people could go to find out more about just these technical aspects of how to get started?
There's not a lot of information online in any one central depot. There is information to be found, but you got to kind of dig past page 1 of Google to find it. So
Yeah.
generally to that note, not really a whole lot that I could point anybody in the direction of, but bands that are looking to get started out are welcome to go ahead and reach out to show the show, and we're glad to go ahead and point them in the right direction and give them some back end tech support and kind of get them going so that they can become independent streamers.
Well, that was what I was really impressed with when we were talking yesterday, is how much you guys seem to be dedicated to really supporting artists and giving them the I guess with the lack of better words, support they need to get this going for their band and getting them the exposure. He mentioned, I think you mentioned, Sarah, that you were doing the support for Pink Talking Fish recently, interacting with fans, and I mean that level of interaction with these. I mean, I don't know if you call them clients of yours. I mean clients, yeah. It's a really great service that I think that really needs to get out there. I mean, it's a great service. I'm so excited that we got to meet, and I want to get the word out there to people to find out that this is going on. Let's see, what else did I?
Can I just jump in for a second?
So yeah,
so backing up to Pink Talking Fish, just to give you a little background about that. Bally was down in, where was it? North Carolina, I think. He was doing the technical
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Part of it. Yeah, and so I was on the test stream and helping him get everything adjusted. And then when it went live, I was sitting on the stream. So he was actually running the stream from the show, and I was watching the chat and interacting with the audience while the streaming was going and making sure that the whole thing was running smoothly and seeing what they were seeing, so that the whole thing ran smooth and that the band would be happy with the final product and that everything would run together, and that we were working as a team, making sure that thing just got out and made sure that the fans were enjoying it as well. So it was a lot of fun doing that. And
what platform are you
Concert
using?
Window?
Yeah, for that show, I'm using Concert Window.
Yeah, it was really great.
I haven't, I was curious, about platforms and what people should be, you started talking about that a little bit. And I'm curious about what you guys think about using platforms like Concert Window versus, and I'm sure you guys have plenty of reasons why, versus just streaming your shows on something like Facebook Live or Periscope.
I actually liked Concert Window because you can interact with the fans. You can see the streaming as it was happening. And I don't know, I liked that because it wasn't just Periscope that was out there and you don't know when it's going to shut off and if it's going to turn back on or if the battery's going to die. So using something like that and having a dedicated person running it, I think makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as far as the Facebook Live, very nice service. It's somewhat in its infancy at this point in time. One of the limiting factors that I've seen so far would be that you're kind of isolating yourself to your existing fan base, as that's who it lets know that you're going live is basically your own fan base. So you're not reaching a new audience there, but as a fan of a lot of different bands, it's definitely a treat to see them come live at random and catch a sound check or, just some one-offs. I think Reed Granauer and Jason Crosby, I think out at Terrapin Crossroads, just kind of popped up on the, I think the Moon Alice channel.
Yep.
So very exciting, but it's more of kind of an inside thing, marketing to your crowd that you already have.
Well, and I mean, I just wanted to open that discussion. It seems that some of the advantages are definitely, like you're saying, that reaching a new crowd and reaching, getting exposure outside of your region, like you were saying, and but also, doesn't Concert Window allow you to, like, I don't know, I'm a big mailing list fan, and it allows you to collect email addresses, right? And I'm a big I'm a big supporter of the email list. It's important, and not enough bands implement it, and that seems like a real plus. You can't capture that on the on the Periscope. They're in, they're out. It's great exposure, but so I agree with you
Yeah, and
guys. I really definitely agree with you.
a thing
Sarah,
like
we can
Concert
hear
Window
you.
as well.
Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they had a donation button where if fans really enjoyed it, they could actually donate, which is great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can make money on it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
We can
that's
hear you
right.
so much better now. It's great. Yeah. And so I want to hear a little bit more about what you were talking about, your side of things, because it was really hard to hear you
Okay.
before.
I'll just go over what I was trying to talk about earlier. The site is great because it's still young and we're still growing it, and we're still every day we're coming up with ideas on what can we add to it, how can we make it better, how can we make it a little bit different. But we do have we have a monthly column, fresh tracks and fresh art, and one of them is dedicated to musicians that we feel are really good but don't really have the exposure that they should. So that's a monthly column for them. And then we have fresh art, which is about artists in the industry that might be making something like a poster, like artists that make posters or something in the industry like that. So we have two definitely dedicated columns for that, which is a little bit different than what most music websites will do, as well as the streaming. And we, whenever we can, we try to incorporate some of those artists with the musicians and the streaming all together and tie them all together at some point, which is great. But we have just random articles. We'll have show reviews. We'll have artist interviews, all kinds of things like that. So if somebody's interested in maybe having us look at their music, we'd love to hear from you, because it's just, we're constantly looking for new artists in both like the industry.
And how would they get in
They
touch
can
with
go on
you
our
if they wanted
website,
to?
or they could just type in press@showtheshow.com. But there is a contact section. You just click on our names on the website, and we'll get emailed directly through the site. So it'd be great to hear from a lot of people. We're always looking for new stuff, new ideas.
And so to get in touch with the web URL is showtheshow.com, right? I'll write it in the comments there. But I wanted to just outline really clearly for our listeners and viewers how someone could get in touch with you. I know that you have a contact page. Is that where they should go if they want to work with you all? And what will it look like if they get in touch with you? What will that relationship look like? How will that process
well, I think
go?
it would begin with, what is it that they're interested in? Are they interested in the streaming side of it? Are they interested in maybe having us listen to some music, do an interview, do a show review? Like what is it that they're interested? And then from there, we'll figure out who should get this, who should be contacted, be working with that person. And from there, and we'll just take it from there. We usually have a discussion. I mean, I talk to him pretty much every single day. We're always bouncing ideas off of each other. So it's just a matter of getting in touch with us, and we'll find out who's the one that's supposed to be in touch with whoever's trying to get their point across to us, whether it be music, streaming, technical questions, things like that.
And for when someone reaches out to you about streaming and is like, I have a band that I work with that is interested in getting into streaming, but has not done it before and doesn't particularly know what they're doing. So they're gonna. I've already told them that they need to go on your website, and I know you have a contact page, and so when they do that, what is it going to look like in terms of what happens?
Sure, myself or one of the Bryans will go ahead and reach out to a band or artist that goes ahead and reaches out. Then basically after that, what we'll do is go ahead and have some conversations and go ahead and look at one, what exactly they're trying to achieve. Are we looking at trying to do audio or video? Establish what is the actual working budget that the band or artist has to work with to go ahead and facilitate the stream that they want to do. And then After that, it's looking at bandwidth. We determine platforms and look at, how are we going to accommodate bandwidth at different locations. So there's a number of technical factors that we go over and then look at, different solutions. And you have to kind of ebb and flow too. There's not one solid solution for everybody, or even for, even show the show, we bounce platforms for different reasons. We use different hosts when we go ahead and sponsor shows for different reasons, depending on the show and the capabilities that we need for the show. So it's not very static in that aspect. You do have to kind of ebb and flow with it, move around, and use the service as best for what you're trying to achieve. So pretty much, going step by step with them and trying to get them to the point of independence where, we can get a band or artist to the point where they can go ahead and stream their shows on their own. They have the technical capabilities within their own crew.
Cool. Great. Well, I think that, I think we asked all my questions. We were efficient, but I wanted to let our viewers know that I'm going to be typing up some show notes on engageyourfanbase.com from this episode, so that you can find out some more information and just the notes from this this episode if you missed any information. And did you guys have any parting thoughts that you wanted to, anything that we didn't cover?
I just noticed the chat on the side, so I guess going back up there, Naked Violet had asked some questions there, or asked a question about the basics of what it takes, and I think we did cover that. Biggest thing would be expect that there will be some technical hurdles that will come along. You're doing a live production, so things will go wrong. Not if, but when you're doing a stream, things
as we figured out today.
It's good to go ahead and have backup plans, pretty much a backup for everything, and a backup panic plan. So that you can still deliver something. If you're planning on a video stream, have a backup plan to deliver an audio stream. If you're delivering an audio stream, have everything backed up so you can go ahead and back that up. That's the biggest thing, is expect some technical hurdles. It's a live event, but people are fairly understanding in the audiences we're seeing. So don't be deterred by some technical hurdles, though. They happen and you'll get through them.
They always happen.
Yes, indeed.
Tonight was a perfect example.
It really was. It really was. But thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. It was so awesome to meet you guys. I am so enthused about the site, and I'm going to be evangelical about it and tell all my bands about what you guys are doing. And I really think this is a great resource. And I hope maybe we can do something together in the future. And I'm definitely excited about what you guys are doing. So so this has been the 16th episode of the Engage Your Fanbase podcast, and I am Kara Karma with Simon Says Booking and Publicity, and we will be back next week. Erwin will be back next week. Unfortunately, I didn't mention that, but Erwin was stuck in the mountains of Denver with a car that wasn't working. So hopefully he will be out of the mountains by next week and joining us. And I'm not quite sure what our topic is again next week. So I believe we possibly will be talking with Peter Irvine, a local entertainment lawyer, which should be pretty cool on a few topics. But I'm not sure if that's next week. So stay tuned and see you.
Right. Thanks.
See you next week. Bye-bye.